Hi there, trades. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for the 13th of December. All right, I'm now just starting on the something a little different. Just starting on the news page here. Obviously, everywhere you look, it's Brexit. The Theresa May put through the survivor confidence vote once again. Now that can't go on again for another year, so she should be the Prime Minister this time next year. That's the way it works. So. But what we're seeing is with those headlines and a few other sort of fear headlines around the place on various things, whether it's the Chinese, there's also some Chinese officials have arrested or detained some Canadian business people. So that looks like a bit of a tit-for-tat situation, which could really escalate across the board and even into the US. Now, what I want to do is just come back and focus on the major pairs and see what's going on with those. Because when you're trying to work out what's going on, like on Euro here, to me, it's trading sideways, but I'm still, underlying everything. I'm still bearish Euro, but at the moment it is just grinding sideways. And for those traders who are new, just joining us, I mean, we have had sterling doing some nice sideways activities, and look at this price action here down through these trend lines. It's all headline driven, and I wouldn't be really suggesting anyone get heavily involved. Looks like there's plenty of cash on the table there. I'll tell you what, I know there's been a lot of tears, and I'm talking about the banks too. They're getting smashed on this stuff. So then you look at Aussie sterling. Euro sterling at the top there. Then you come out of the Aussie, it's just sort of just flatlined. That down move is really stalled. It has now gone into a bit of a sideways move. Whereas Kiwi sort of starting to sort of drift a little bit. It looks like there's a few stops cleaned out yesterday under 68. Sort of 60, it's starting to trade sideways again. So we'll have to see how that plays out. So basically from those four pairs, there's not a hell of a lot on the table. Now, if I come down to look at the dollar index, okay, just change my pen over there. So the dollar index itself as well, pretty much like the as you'd expect with the euro, just pretty much trading sideways. It's had a couple of cracks at the top side here at 97.50, but really it hasn't got any fundamental momentum behind it. And I wanted to leave this dollar yen chart exactly where it is too. You see dollar yen looking to go to the top side with a strong dollar move, but just doesn't have the fundamental momentum to really get above that trend line and really kick to the top side. So all we're generally doing is every other second day, and this is a good example, is dollar yen, like you're getting that trend line and you're going to the new high and it's sort of back inside the range. And that's pretty typical of what's been happening across the board. Now down the bottom here, you got dollar Swiss. Just change that over. Okay, so dollar Swiss. To me, well, it's had this sort of down move again. It's sort of recovered with that little blip up in the dollar. So to me, overall sideways. And my pen's going a little bit wonky there. So and then you got dollar CAD. Well, short term, it actually looks just like it's sort of grinding sideways, but medium to long term, I've got that thing moving to the top side. So still a bullish technical outlook for dollar CAD. Now, if I just come back and just give you a look at the MyFX Trading Hub. Apologies, there hasn't been any updates for the last this week. I've been a little bit caught up in Ireland of all places. But just having a look here, just coming down, I've just gone through and refreshed all the sort of sentiment here on the major pairs. Now, to me, there's not a hell of a lot on the table. Dollar CAD has got like a bullish technical sort of structure, medium-term, long-term charts. But really, as you can see on the daily charts here before, if I just shrink that again, you'll see like, yeah, that's great. But on the hourlies, it's still, and that's where most of the trading decisions come from, it's still just grinding sideways. So I don't know if there's a hell of a lot to get excited about just at the moment. It's a bit more about being patient and waiting for the opportunity to arise. Now, if I just go into the Fed sort of detailed analysis, as you can see, the Fed sentiment pretty much sideways, economic data. Inflation was as expected, still on path, but current technicals overall sideways as well. So you can see those updated charts there. And with the dollar just going sideways, that's what happens, and that's where we're getting all this sideways across the board, because a lot of the other major pairs usually wait for the dollar to give us some sort of direction. The fundamentals for most of these currencies is a little bit dull. Now, sterling, To me, inflation's very high in the UK. We've got a bearish outlook on the charts. This thing is just really crazy at the moment. So hopefully after that Brexit vote, we might see some more normal trading activity. I doubt it, but because we still need to get that UK vote through, but we'll see how that goes. Now, just having a look at just at some of the major components of the market now. I've just got the dollar index here and the dollar yuan. Obviously, two pairs that are heavily in the headlines. The equities out, shrugged off any sort of negative sentiment. You know, up 0.6 to 0.9% roughly for the American indices. So that should put a bit of a positive spin on the whole equities across the board. But it's nothing really to write home about. As I mentioned, the dollar index, this is the daily chart, is still grinding sideways. I mean, overall, the US fundamentals are still very strong. The offshore yuan, dollar yuan, it's now sort of starting to find a bit of comfort around this 6.86 sort of level. We did think it was going to break through 7, but now the Chinese authorities do look like they've taken the steam out of that quite nicely. All right, now, just last but not least, you want to start planning your day. You've got to start to look at the potential economic numbers coming out. That could really change the momentum of what's going through the market at the moment. Now, dollar CAD to me, as I said, has got the only sort of direction as far as the technical aspect goes. So we don't have a hell of a lot to work with on the face of it. There may be a few opportunities as we go forward over the next sort of 24 hours, but it's going to come down to the central banks. We've got the Swiss National Bank with their 3-month target LIBOR rate, in the Euro interest rate decision as well. Obviously, we're not expecting anything out of the ECB, but what will be interesting is the Draghi's press conference afterwards. That's where, to me, the real action is going to be. And that's pretty much it. So the Asian session, I wouldn't be expecting too much at all. Obviously, keep an eye on your charts, but there's not much to do there. As you come into that European session, you do have the central bank action. That could potentially do anything. So that's why you want to watch it. And as we come through the North American session, there's nothing really to get excited about. So it's more of a case of sitting back and waiting to see what happens from there. All right, guys, that's it from me. The updates are back online, so we'll keep churning you up. All right, cheerio. Bye for now.